بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا ذلك أمر الله أنزله إليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويعظم له أجرا أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بمعروف وإن تعاسرتم فسترضع له أخرى لينفق ذو سعة من سعته ومن قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها سيجعل الله بعد عسر يسرا وكأين من قرية
As the gender war rages on, in order to keep the peace, we must discuss the exact facts. Welcome to Exactly. I'm your host, Saudi Man. Remove your shoes. Enter upon your right foot, upon the right state of mind. Bi'idnillah. Assalamu alaikum. Topic: happily married. Reality or fantasy? There's an old cliche in the English idiom. I'm not sure if it expands to other cultures or is known in other cultures, but the saying is happy wife, happy life. And often when I quote this cliche, I get animated. I say happy life, happy wife, happy life. Because you have to expound upon the depth of the statement that you're making. And often this is done with gesture, as 80% of communication is indeed posture. But what is life? Al-Hayat, what is life? Webster's defines life briefly as conditions that distinguishes organic from the inorganic. Organic meaning man, animals, plants, from the inorganic like rocks, water, so on and so forth. Another definition in Webster's is what precedes death, that which precedes death. Islamically, as believers, we believe that a pleased Lord equals a happy life. A pleased Lord equals a happy life. Now, again, I mentioned before, and I'll mention it again, that previously I mentioned it, that the Christians had a conundrum where they would say, does serving man or mankind, humankind, the serving humankind, or is God served by serving mankind, or is mankind served by serving God? They concluded that God is served by serving mankind. And as Muslims, we understand that to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to worship Allah ta'ala, is indeed how mankind is served. How mankind is served. So we don't believe that by pleasing man or serving man that by happenstance your Lord would be pleased. No. But we believe that serving your Lord directly contributes to mankind being satisfied and pleased. Now, this being clear, this aspect being clear, happiness in this life occurs in waves. Happiness in this life, the hayat dunya, occurs in waves. There's no constant happiness. We're talking about life in general, not necessarily the male and female dynamic, but in life in general, we know that happiness happens in waves, and contentment is never achievable. Contentment is never achievable, but happiness happens in waves. The next life, we know that happiness is perpetual. In the next life, happiness is perpetual. That what's above happiness? Pleasure. Okay? Above happiness is pleasure. So you will be well pleased in the next life. If Allah Ta'ala grants you what is known as Al-Jannah, and you avoid what is known as Al-Jahannam, the punishment, then you will have perpetual happiness. Your days of suffering and aching and sleeping on the wrong side, waking up in aches and pains, those days will be over. But when it comes to this life, again, happiness happens in waves. And in the next life, that's where happiness is perpetuated. Okay? So that's where we are with that. The best Muslim, listen to this, going back to the title, which is happily married, reality or fantasy. Let's say the best Muslim married the best Muslimah. The best Muslim married the best Muslimah. Does that equal best couple? Does that mean that he will be happily married? Does that mean she will be happily married? Let's take Zainab wa Zayd radiyallahu anhuma. They were indeed married to each other. Zayd was a good Muslim, the free slave. He was a very good Muslim. And Zainab was a very good Muslimah. Radiyallahu anhuma. May Allah be pleased with them both. But that did not equal compatibility. Why? Because she was not attracted to him. You see that? She was not, attracted to him. So therefore, good Muslimah does not necessarily equal a good company. Best Muslimah does not equal compatibility. This is something outside of that, okay? The most compatible won't equal worry-free. Even the most compatible couple won't equal worry-free. And I have evidence for this. They will not equal worry-free. Because again, we're talking about the life of this world where happiness comes and goes in waves. And in the hayat dunya, in the akhirah, the hereafter, that's when happiness is perpetual. That's when happiness is perpetual for the human being. There is a hadith of the Rasul Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he mentions that you can, as long as you're doing right by your wife, your zawja, your wife, she will be pleased with you. She will be happy with you. But once you do one thing wrong, now this is coming from the Rasul Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is not a life coach. This is the Rasul of Allah Ta'ala. Rasulullahi. Okay? This is not a life coach or a counselor or a couples therapist or a matchmaker. No. This is Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, as long as you're doing right by your wife, she'll be pleased with you. She'll be happy with you. But you do one thing wrong, and what does she say? I have never gotten anything good from you. I have never gotten anything good from you, and Allah Ta'ala knows best. Even one of Rasulullah's wives told him that, I've never got anything good from you. When, of course, by Allah's permission, she got guidance. She got the deen. She got the hukam shari'ah, She got the proper manasik, so on and so forth, the rituals that Allah Ta'ala loves that we repeat and that we practice. So this is just part of the nature of the zawja, okay? Nevertheless, human beings are often insatiable. It's hard to satiate a human being. It's hard. When it comes to palate, even the palate of a human being. At one time, just anecdotally, one time my wife kept buying these small buckets of peanut brittle. Oh, I couldn't get enough. The package says hand-dipped peanut brittle. Couldn't get enough. I would eat it and eat it. you know. And even though it would dry me out, I had to drink water. I had to keep water by the bedside because it, made my throat dry in the middle of the night. I couldn't get enough. Now, there was a full container of it in the cupboard, in the pantry, and I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it. That's man's palate. That's even woman's palate. One time she wants this, the next time she wants that. My son, one of my teenage sons, he says he doesn't like eggs in the morning, scrambled eggs. And then I'm cooking eggs. I said, I'm making his plate. I said, oh, you don't want eggs? Oh no, Dad, I'll eat eggs. This is just a human experience. I'm just sharing with you. It's a human experience. So our palate changes. So our palate is insatiable. Okay, we'll never be satisfied with one thing. Yesterday, Coach Kareem mentioned the example of Ibrahim alayhi salam visiting the house of his son Ismail alayhi salam, and Ismail's wife, the first wife, was complaining that he goes out hunting every day and he only brings back meat. She's tired of meat. Okay, she was complaining. Okay, the next wife, after he divorced that wife by Ibrahim's advice, okay, Adino Nasiha, so he had divorced that first wife by Ibrahim alayhi salam's advice to change the threshold at his door. He married another one. Ibrahim again visited the house, and the wife said, oh, my husband Ismail is away hunting. He is such a good husband. He always bring back what? Lahm, meat. Always brings back meat. One didn't like it, was unsatisfied with it, and the other, I guess it was the Atkins diet. She was satisfied with it. So this is something that we have to understand. Human beings are insatiable, and their palate can't even be satiated because it changes. Oh, you hear women and men, I guess men say this, I have a taste for barbecue. I have a taste for brisket. I have a taste for seafood. I have a taste for curry, today, so on and so forth. So again, this is the palate of man. Nothing wrong with that. It is the way Allah Ta'ala created it, as long as we satisfy it through the halal or the lawful means. Ironically, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who's without need, listen, Allah Ta'ala is without need, yet can be pleased. Not only that, has laid out a pattern of what pleases him. He laid out a pattern of what pleases him, and furthermore, through our Rasul Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has dictated what? That you follow that example of what Allah Ta'ala loves. Follow his example. He loves that. And any example outside of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he doesn't like that example. So we love what Allah loves, and we hate what Allah hates. We love what Allah loves, and we hate what Allah hates. This is pushing toward, advancing toward Allah Ta'ala's pleasure. An entity, Allah Ta'ala, Ahad, Al-Ahad, is what? The one without need, as-Samad, the one without a stomach, does not eat or drink. Okay? Yet, Allah Ta'ala can be pleased when the human being cannot. The human being is insatiable, and Allah Ta'ala, Al-Ala, the high, the most high, can be pleased. Look at the irony in that. So why should we aim toward pleasing a created thing, seeking happiness through and seeking to please a created thing, especially a thing that's insatiable as the human being, male or female? And why wouldn't we aim toward pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is how our wives or their husbands should be pleased with? Again, I mentioned 1,000 times, here comes 1,001. Sa'ada, happiness, in Islam is defined as knowing that your Lord is pleased with you. How do you know that your Lord is pleased with you? You are following the sunnah of his beloved Rasul, his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced marital discord and nushuz. At one point, all of his wives, alayhum salam, all of his wives, radiallahu anhum, they angered him. All of them angered him at one time. So he stayed away from them for how long? 29 days. He swore to stay away for a month. And when he returned to the house of Aisha, radiallahu anha, she said, Ya Rasulullah, I thought that you would stay away for a month. He said, I did. This month was 29 days. Because we know in the lunar calendar, the Islamic calendar, that the month is 29 at the shortest and 30 at the longest. Okay? So, if the Rasul Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced An-Nushuz's marital discord and was displeased with his wives at one time, that they thought that he would divorce all of them in one swoop. And Allah Ta'ala revealed, if it's the good of this world, if it's the trinkets of this dunya that you desire, then if Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam divorces you, Allah will replace you with better wives, that pray and fast and so on and so forth, that fear their Lord. This was what really shook them. Allah revealed about them that if he divorces you, Allah will replace you with better wives as a favor to his Rasul Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? He will place you a better wife. So if Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced marital discord, then what can we expect? I say we can expect him being the best. We can expect marital discord. But just as the happiness happens in waves, so will the marital discord. Islam has a solution for the happiness, and it also has a solution for the discord. The same. Okay? Think about that. It is clear hubris. Hubris means pomposity, pride, overvaluing yourself. I like to use the term overvalue. To overvalue yourself. Hubris. It is clear hubris to think that a created thing, such as a spouse, husband or wife, could be the sole purpose of life. Remember, I like to say life. Could be the sole purpose of life. And source of happiness within. Again, sa'ada is knowing that your Lord is pleased. Some of us, our whole effort is to please the spouse. Now, who's closer to that? The husband or the wife? Think about it. Who's closer to that? When a wife strives to please her husband, this is an ibadah, if it's within the confines of the hukam sharia, okay, the hududullah. If a husband strives to please his wife, same. Within the hududullah, this is an ibadah, a worship, an aspect of worship. But you never should think a created thing is the entity that you should strive to please above all else. Allah Ta'ala is the entity that should be strove to please beyond anything and all else. Why? Because he controls the keys to your akhirah, heaven or hell. He controls it. Allah Ta'ala tells us in the Quran that your wives and your children in your own house can be enemies to you. Which means, like with the example of Asiya, radiallahu anha, who was the wife of Fir'aun, it can be the other way around, that the husband can be an enemy. The husband can also be an enemy. So that goes both ways. So with this being said, it is complete and clear hubris to say happy wife, happy life. To say happy husband, happy life. Even though, that's also hubris, but even though it is stated that at the time of death, if your husband is pleased If the husband is pleased with his wife, she can enter Jannah through any door that she chooses. So when I say who's closer to, let's say, happy spouse, happy akhirah, you would say the woman is closer to that. She's closer. Why? Because if she pleases her husband, she can enter Jannah through any door she chooses. But the husband has to be under the banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. If he is under that banner, then pleasing him is the way to go. And not to do any disobedience to Al-Khaliq, to the Creator, trying to please the makhluk, or the created thing. Not to do any disobedience, because that would be misappropriating things. Now, the hadith of Rasulullah said that marriage is nisf. It is half of the deen. He said marriage is half of the deen, so fear Allah in the other half. So that's given a lot of weight. And some say nisf means a part. Some say that part is up to half, and some say it's just half. I'm ana ajmi, I'm not Arabic, speaker, or a native Arabic speaker. So I'll leave it to those that know better than me. But nevertheless, let's say marriage is half the deen. So fear Allah Ta'ala in the other half. So that means you can't say happy wife, happy life. Why not? Because the deen is not half of life. The deen is our way of life itself. The deen dictates how we shop, what we eat, how we walk into certain edifices. Our deen dictates. Okay? The deen dictates what is extravagance versus what is modesty. The deen dictates that. So therefore, we don't say happy husband, happy life. We don't say happy wife, happy life. We say a pleased Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, happy life. And expectations of a great reward in the akhirah. A great reward in al-akhirah. Now, if marriage is half of the deen, and the deen is our way of life, and it directs our purpose in life. It directs our very purpose in life. Again, how we shop, having intimacy, who we have intimacy with, which orifice we enter, the dua we make before we enter it, what may be produced from that, yet another dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's called deen. Muhammad said marriage is half of the deen, fear Allah on the other half. Now, out of wisdom, what makes it as much as half? For a woman, we understand that half. Her husband can become her gatekeeper and key to Al-Jannah. If he is on the deen and she is striving to please him within the deen, then yes, she can enter Jannah by any door she chooses. But with the husband striving to please his wife at all times, because of our different natures, okay? A man has to go outside of the home. See, a woman can stay in the home, please her husband. A man cannot stay in the home and please his wife. He has to go outside of the home. Let's say he works from home. He has to dedicate time and energy to that work. And in a woman's nature, and some of these sisters can attest to this, women will become jealous of her husband's work. Women, in their nature, may become jealous of the children, the affection that the husband has for the children. Why do you think the children, often unwanted, are even leveraged against the husband? Because of his love and affection for that child, she'll use it like in a jujitsu type move. She'll use it in a taekwondo type move, to leverage, herself in the courts against this man, or to hurt him, will use the children in that manner. Okay? So we're dealing with two different entities, two different beings, you know, more alike than not. But the areas where we differ, are drastic. The areas where we differ are drastic. If you don't believe it, go to a mortuary and watch them cut the woman open and watch them cut the man open. Different parts. And before they cut them open, you'll notice on the outside, ooh, that's different. That's different. The hair follicles, different. The heart size, different. Brain size, different. You know, even the functionality of the brain, what parts of the brain that are more dynamic than the other parts differs male and female. You know, they say the female brain is more intricate, not in design, but in the processes. You know, this is what they say, and I don't want to get too technical with that, but this is just paraphrasing what they say in this regard. So the dean directs all of our life, and we're told that marriage is half, because for the man, the woman at home can please him, but for the woman, the man at home cannot please her. He has to go out, and even though it may produce like a jealousy or something, you know, with her, him going out, you know, or going to the other wife's house, you know, another issue. It may produce something, yet and still, if she behaves in that vein, you know, Jannah, you know, may await her. Bi'idhnillah. Look at this. In summary, excuse me. In summary, this life is full of happiness and heartaches. Happiness, waves, heartaches in waves. This is this life. Okay? Happiness can be sought constantly. But is it achievable constantly? In every aspect, in every situation, is it achievable? No. This goes for investments, our efforts, seeking advancement at the job, promotion, so on and so forth. We may you know, buy a nice vehicle and turn a corner, and some idiot drinking and driving, because, you know, alcohol is lawful for the kuffar and the pagans. You know, he hits your nice vehicle. You know, you were happy for about 30 seconds. However long it took to hit that stop sign and make that left or that right, you know. So that's this life, and that's happiness. Not even dealing with relationships, just life itself. Happiness can be sought consistently, but realistically should only be expected in intervals. Listen to that. Happiness can be sought consistently. Consistently seek happiness. Consistently. But expect it in intervals. Expect it in intervals. Don't expect every effort you put forward to bring, you know, positivity. Don't expect that. You can expect it, but know that there is that possibility that your effort will fail. Allah plans and you plan. And Allah is the best of the makirin. Allah is the best of the makirin, those that plan. Nevertheless, lastly, I'll state that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can assure a happy existence, not his creation. So when someone says, can I be happily married? Yes, on Tuesday. On Tuesday. Can I be happily married? Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday afternoon. But can I be happy Sunday through Saturday? See, this is a dig at the Christians, right? Sunday through, because Sunday's the first day. They say they think Sunday's the seventh day. You know, in Morocco they go like this. They don't go like this, as we do in America. Well, you know, here where I grew up, they go like this. It means Majnoon. You're insane. Okay, so Sunday through Saturday. You know, Yom al-Ahad through Yom al-Sabah. Okay, can we expect happiness from that day to this day? Al-Yom wal-Layl, every day. Can we expect it? No, we can't. We can't. We cannot. So, not in not not his creation, okay? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can assure a happy existence, but not in this life. Not even the Rasul Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam experienced happiness perpetually while alive. At times, it would seem he was very happy with his Sahaba, on whom they would laugh and joke and play, and he ran foot races against his wives. And we know all of those instances. Then other instances we hear about his tooth being chipped and his shoes filling with coagulated blood, head to toe, and things like that. So he suffered. He was boycotted for 2 years plus, and there was some, they say the poop, the defecation of the Muslim was like sheep. They were eating grass that made up the majority of their diet. Grass. Okay? So this is the issue. There's no happy wife, happy life. Okay? There's no happy husband, happy life. There is no happily married. Except that you may be more happy than you are perturbed. You may be more happy than you are perturbed, I guarantee you. No matter how fine that woman is, she'll anger you. She'll anger you. It'll be by words or actions. She'll anger you. No matter how handsome your husband is, and no matter how beautiful his recitation of Quran is, how can you recite Quran that beautifully? How can you memorize that much of Quran? How can you be Hafiz Quran and you make me so angry? He's a human being, and we are in the life of this world. And only Allah Ta'ala again can assure a happy existence. Where is that existence? In the Akhirah. That existence is in the Akhirah. Seek it constantly in this life, happiness. But be realistic that it may only happen in intervals. Happily married, reality or fantasy. You choose. I say perpetually fantasy. In intervals, reality. This has been your brother, Saudi Imam for X-Factly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.